Hi everyone, this is Abhilasha Chaudhary, and today we have a session on formal email writing communication. So I hope you are good people, and some of you have turned on the camera. So let's begin with the session today. So first of all, I know it's an email session, so most of all will be like, okay, let's just have this session and you can have it on email. Yeah, I think that is fair and enough because email is something which you'll use in inbox only, right? It's not something you need to learn because now an AI has also come. So you'll be like, why formal communication? Why we actually need it? Can't we just send an email? Absolutely correct. But let's see why it is important and how you can change perspective of people, how you can create an impression with a formal email writing. Since you're going to join a B school and then you're going to join a organization. So where what happens though in an organization, you need to send a formal email because if you'll use informal, there are portion on. I hope you all are aware, even if you're a boy or even if you're a girl. Moving ahead, so what are the learning objectives for today's sessions are? First, we're going to identify common email blunders and how to fix them. Second, we are going to check the anatomy of a formal email, like what is the structure, what are the etiquettes, what should be the tone of the email, how you are going to structure your opening, your closing, and the body of the email. Then write with clarity, tone and professional confidence, how you're going to write this. So as an person who as a corporate person, I would say still I makes at some mistakes, like I overlook certain things, and I hope you'll not do that. So I am coming from my experiences, the mistakes that I have made, all I'm going to share it with you. So I think it will not only a session where an instructor is telling you, it's about a person who has made those mistakes and now going to teach you like how you can avoid them. Then we have a craft, just a second. Yeah. Then we are going to craft subject lines and sign off. Sign offs are basically your signatures and your last, like yours sincerely or kind of best regards. What you should write in what sort of email, and then you are going to leave a strong impression with your signatures. So signatures are very important. Certain people don't know about signatures at all. They just write their name in the bottom without any contact number, without from which organization they're coming from. They just write their name and they feel that okay, the email is done. Then we're going to practice through live peer review activities. So I have certain activities for you where we are going to test you whether you have understood or not. Now moving ahead, yeah. So why email is actually professional email is really important. So there is a difference between, as you can see, email delivery and email deliverability. So corporate needs you to find the difference between this picture, as you can see. And as an email marketer, they'll feel like, oh, both are the same. No, they are not same. Some of you might join marketing, and there is a term called email marketing. I hope you all are aware about it. So what happened is though it's a traditional form of email marketing, but we still use it. Because if you'll see the C-suite executive or the leadership team, if a mail pops up and you have a very strong how to say a strong subject line, and where it something where you have to put your thought, and you'll be like, oh, this is something interesting, so you'll open the email. For sure you're going to open that email. Otherwise, if you'll have the boring subject line and you'll just get like selling something or a marketing something very something which I don't want to use, like let's say insurance, something like credit cards. If you'll send an email like that, so it will be like they'll send it and they'll put you under spam, right? And then any email coming from your organization or from you as a marketing person, they'll not open it. So why it is important? Just an email delivery, and what is the difference between the email deliverability? Like what I wanted to deliver. Is it just that I wanted to send an email? No. I wanted to showcase something. I wanted to tell you something. That's what email writing is all about. So there is the email hall of shame where you all might have come across certain emails. Like there is a lot of memes as well. If you have seen about this Gen Z email thing, now it's going on a lot. If you see LinkedIn, there will be a lot of people, lot of managers being not complaining, but they generally adores these people because they are very honest but do you think that is actually a professional or formal way of sending an email? Though you are honest, but there is a way to say this, right? When we say like I wanted to convey certain things. I can convey it honestly, but with a proper professional communication. So you might all have been come across certain uh, reply all disasters or tone certain sort of emails. So any one of you, if you would like to mention any experience of yours, that's what I put that meme as well. Like even wizards receive spam email. Whether you are haven't joined an organization, but you still have lots of email in your inbox. So any of you, if you would like to give me an example. Okay, if you would like to mention chatbots, or we can move ahead, then I'll give you an examples like how email, like there is a how to say, not a proper structured email look like. So we are going to fix it today, and by the end of this session, I'm sure your inbox is going to thank you, and you will learn something where you feel like, okay, you know, I want this session to be productive. I don't want that you will go and just consider it as a normal session. I'll just take a class and then books closed and it's done. No, I want you to learn something out of it. Though it's very basic things, email writing, and you feel like AI is there, I can just give it a prompt. But how will you give the prompt? How will you write the prompt? Because prompt engineering is not that easy. You'll write something, you'll keep on iterate that email. How you can give one prompt and you can write the perfect email. That is what more important. And for that, you need to understand email writing. Going this, these are the emails which generally people feel like we have been facing and we have been seeing in corporate world. So as you can see, you got an email, but where you were going to like people are asking about your email address. But generally, you'll sell the email with an email address, right? But still, people do that. Then, most embarrassing email exchange people might have. They sent an email, they replied and called me what is. So that sort of emails, that sort of mistakes have been happening, right? You'll write a person name wrong. You forgot to attach the attachment, the document you wanted to send. These sort of mistakes happen. And when you look at, let's say you're sending it to a client, or let's say you were sending it to outside India, you know there are cultural differences between different countries. Let's say you did such mistakes at that level of seniority. And there, people have that impression that you are not professional enough, you are not formal enough, and they'll take you for granted after that. That's why an email could be a process or a thing where you are giving the first impression of yours to the people, especially when it comes to leadership team. Yeah, so this is another blunder which has been happened in 2016. I'll just take that reference from 2016 because email writing is not new, and I wanted to tell you that it is people have made mistake in the past as well. So this is a reply all disaster. So how big a disaster or even a small thing could create an impact at such a large amount of people. So there is an intern which hits reply all on a 300% company email thread to ask, hey, are we still doing lunch today? So let's say you're an intern and you joined a company, and then there's a team lunch, you can say. So then you're asking someone, and you put just click on reply all, and it had reached to each and every employee. Now the entire company knows how about the lunch, and three people are. So these sort of mistakes happens a lot in corporate. So to avoid such mistakes, what you can do, we are going to learn in this session. So as I mentioned, I've taken a reference which is very viral. It not that famous, obviously, because they don't want to, put it out, right? But you can find it online. So it's about the National Health Services where they have sent a test email, and it has reached to 1.2 million employees of that company. And then it stormed so hard that it created a lot of traffic, and they'll fail to send email in the next one or like around 1 month. So these sort of large impact been happened because of one email mistake. So the impact is like there is estimated 186 million needless emails were generated every day. You can see there are a lot of spam email. Every company, every marketer has been doing this. So NHS email system were running very slow after this incident and completely went down. It forces staff to deal with reply all hell. That sort of issues can happen if you made one mistake in such a large organization. I understand if you do it in a startup of a company of 50 people, it's very pretty normal. It's fine. It's a 50 people only. But let's say imagine a scenario where there are 11,000, 50,000 people are there. How will it impact? It impact really huge. Coming to the next hall of shame, which is your please find attached shame. So this is a classic email disaster actually. People generally put like please find attached the report, but there is no attachment. When you're sending it to your peer, if you're to your colleague, it's quite normal. Like it's like okay, you can handle it. But let's say you're sending it to your C-suite executive, you're sending it to a CEO. One mistake, and that is the for the first time. One mistake, and they'll have an impression that this person is not professional enough, and they'll send you another email. So what will happen after that? It will create a email chain. The work which should be done within one email or a two email, it will end lasted to 5 to 6 emails with a email chain. This shouldn't be happen because you are an MBA student. They expect you to be aware enough. They expect you to be professional enough. Because informality, you can do it on your WhatsApp or your other mode of communication. But when it comes to email, it is considered as the formal communication platform. Then you have CC'd a relevant team. Like you, instead of putting like the correct person or your manager or your, let's say, professor in the CC, you have put the entire class. Again, that is an issue. You have seen that in memes as well. If organization as well as for the colleges, people generally sent a note or sent a complaint to the organization or the admin, and they put the whole class. Do you think it's really necessary at that point? You could have conveyed it in a different way. So, whom you're putting in CC, whom you're putting in BCC, it's really important. And as discussed in yesterday's call, so email sent to the wrong person entirely. Imagine a situation. So, I'll give you my example. So, initially, when I sent an email to a vendor of ours, I have sent like it is an communication actually, and that person's email was accidentally put there by some other person, and I thought that like I have to do a reply all because he's there already in the mail chain, and I did a reply all. So generally, when you send an email, there's a yellow mark highlighter on the external person email. It shows there. But since I didn't ask anyone, I didn't rechecked it. I thought it's okay, and I replied all, and I sent an internal communication to an external person. So these sort of mistakes you should avoid when you are in an organization. As I mentioned, I'm going to share my experience because today I'm not an instructor, but a person who has made those mistakes, and I want you to avoid those. And I've learned through them. Coming to next is the anatomy of a formal email. So as you can see, there are a lot of parts I have mentioned, which is the important factors which giving the impression to the person, a strong impression. As you can see, this email is not long. It is very crisp. And that is how email should be. If you send a long email to me, would I be bothered to, read and go through everything? I'll skim. Most probably I'll skim until unless it is very important to me. Let's say some new labor code has happened. They'll send a document instead of writing everything in the email. You can send a document if you have to elaborate everything, but an email should be the concise crisp form of whatever you wanted to say. So coming to the anatomy, the first part is your subject. This is the bottom line. This is the gist of what is consist in that email. If your subject is very strong, I will pick up and I'll bother to open it, even if it's coming from a organization, organization, or even if it's a marketing email. If it is something which is like a vague subject you have given, let's say I'll give a classic example. People generally send emails to HR for hiring, right? That I wanted to apply for this job and this is an application for this job. I am not aware if you're you have this request for your internship feedback, or let's say you have applied for any job or internship, but you have just mentioned application, right? But do I know, and you have mentioned you have done this and this, and you are coming with sort of experience, and you wanted to go for this position. If you haven't mentioned it specifically in your subject, how would I know that you are applying for an internship or an actual job, right? Or a permanent job, right? So your subject defines should be very clearly that what is considered in that email, or should I open it? Is it urgent? Do I need to reply now itself? So you have to mention your subject very carefully. Then comes your salutation. So if you are sending it to a professor, what will you write? Did you write dear sir? No, that's not how you're going to, write it in your organization. But compared to someone who is your colleague, will you write dear? No, you will just mention hi. So there is a different salutation for different sort of situations, different sort of people you are going to send an email. Next come your opening. So when you write your opening should be very humble, very calm, and it has a little bit hint of what you wanted to say. Not the entire thing, but little bit hint. As you can see, this is mentioned. I hope this message find you well. I am writing to kindly request feedback regarding my. So I have already mentioned what I've mentioned in subject as well. So this is a small just about what the email is about. And then I hope this message finds you well. This is we start to give a humble start, right? Instead of getting very aggressive, because the tone of your email should be humble. You are writing it to a person. You can't be angry. It's a formal communication. So you have to be neutral. As we mentioned, when you're going to answer any question in your interviews, you have to be humble. Same way, you have to be humble in your emails. Then the body of that email and closing. Closing is an important part of your email. Either, see, as you can see, I look forward to your response. Or you could have mentioned, please reply to this email. There is a difference when you say, please reply to this email or looking forward to your response. Looking forward to your response sounds more appealing, more applauding. But when it comes to please reply to this email, it doesn't sound that good to your ears, right? So you should always consider what closing you are choosing. Then the last is sign off, which is you mention your contact. Either it's a signature from which organization you're coming from, what is your email, so that they can connect with you. It's not only email, you are giving them your contact as well. And when it comes to your organization, if you're sending it to a person who is outside the organization, then it's fine. You don't, someone you don't know or a stranger, you're just sending it. Then you don't need to mention. You can have a common email. If you have heard about, there is a common email for sales team, there's a common email for operations team, right? And if you're sending it to a client or sending it to a vendor, there you can mention your personal email. Like in your colleges, you write your personal emails. So I now we're going to check each anatomy one by one. What is the weakest point? Like how you're going to write a good headline or how you can make it strong. So till now we come to the subject line, which is the bottom line of your whole email. So the subject line is your headline. If it doesn't compel the reader to open the email, nothing else matter. As I mentioned, the more compelling your head subject line would be, the more compelling it will be for the reader. Right. So let's say this is a weak subject line, like high question. Regarding the thing we discussed, urgent, please read. Do you think I'm going to open this email? I'm not going to open this one because it is like it's so vague that I'll be like, okay, this is something from random thing, I'll open it later. Now check the strong one. Leave request 14 May 2025 name. If I'm an HR, if I'm a manager, I'll look at this and I'll be very clear about what is there in that email, right? And from whom it is coming from. Because at times what happened, I'm not going to check the name of the person there in that email. I'll just see, okay, this person has sent this email. This is what he is going to. It is very concise. You have seen the whole gist of that email in this one line, right? That's why we call it a strong subject line. Then follow up project proposal submission. It's very clear what this email is about. It is a follow-up for the proposal submission which as they had done earlier, right? Then meeting request, quarter two review available this week, question mark. So these are very concise way and these are actually telling you the gist of that whole email. Now, there is a rule of thumb for your subject line. A good subject line answers who is writing about what and possibly when, all in under 10 words. It's like a crisp and concise way of telling your what is the important thing I'm going to ask in your email. The second anatomy is your salutation. So, as you can see, what you can avoid is, hey, dear sir, ma'am. When you know the name, you avoid dear sir or ma'am, or you didn't write your, or let's say you're sending it to a customer and you don't know the, or you, even if you know the name and you don't know how to address it, because In certain, I'd say in certain culture, you can write the first name. In certain culture, you can write the last name as well. But you don't know this person is coming from a, like whether he'll like it or not. There you can use dear sir and ma'am. But when it comes to a person, let's say in your organization who is at higher authority, there you can write their particular name instead of writing dear sir and ma'am. Then to whom it may concern, it sounds very lazy. Like I'm just giving it to people like, okay, to whoever you are, right? And that's why you should avoid it. Then hi buddy. You should always check whatever you are writing, how it is appearing to you and how it is sounding to you. Then if you like, instead of, what you can use is dear Mr. Sharma if you know the name, or with your last name, because generally in India and in some parts of the US and all, they can use their last name. But in certain countries, they use their first name as well. And in certain organization, you can, for your colleagues and for your manager as well, because they won't consider the gap that much, they can address with hi. Hi plus name, first name. That also is there, but always check it first whether they like it or not, then only you can use it. Otherwise, this is the formal way or ideal way to write salutations. Then dear first name, if relationship allows, then you can mention, and then either good morning. The third part is your opening line. Because it's your first impression, you should avoid filler openers. Get to the point, but warmly. As I mentioned, you should start with, I hope you are doing well, or I'm writing to request approval for. These sort of warm messages or warm sentences you can use when you are starting or when you're opening your email. Since it is very concise way, you cannot elaborate too much. So your question or your statement should be very crisp. As you can see, I am writing this email to let you know that I am going to be writing to about. It's very vague. You're writing the same sentence again and again, but in a different way. This is not correct because you are opening it. So I'll be puzzled like what you are actually wanted to say. I'll directly say this. How you can be a strong openers? I am writing to request approval for then the issue. Following your conversation on that date, I would like to. Okay, one more experience that I had, my, like, let's say there's a manager. I'm going to quote my manager. He wanted, like, I've made some changes in a report or I've made some changes in a proposal. So what happened, he asked me, made the changes and send that proposal again. So how team are looking up to you is that they weren't going to check, and they're not going to open the report and going to check what sort of changes that you made, because report can be 60 pages, report can be 2 pages, report can be 3 pages. They cannot go line by line. So what they are expecting you, they won't directly say it to you, but they're expecting you to write each update or each change in that email. So, and with a date as well. That's what they're expect. This is a hidden except like expectations from your leadership or from your manager, and that's how you should keep it this into consideration. People generally don't know, and until unless they point it out. So it's better you know it prior. Coming to the next anatomy is the body of the email, because the more clear it is, the more concise it is, the more easy it is to reply back to or revert to the email. Because let's say you send an email and it is too big, too long for me to even read and give put my time to it. So I'll think is, whenever I feel free, I'll read the whole email and then I reply. If you want a quick reply, what you can do is just write it in a crisp way. Keep the body to be 1 or 2 sentence max. I'm just giving you an example. It's not mandatory. If you're something where you have to write 3 4 lines, you can mention. I know these sort of doubts may come. I'm just mentioning it. You can keep it crisp, keep it concise, so that you'll get fast revert as well. That's why that is actually one of the reason why we write short and crisp emails. Then what should it consider? The one idea per paragraph, bullet points for list, no walls of text, active voice over passive voice. Right? Avoid jargons overload. These are actually the basic formal writing things like sign pointers. Apart from this, what you can do is avoiding like the kind of tone that you're using in your body, the kind of structure you wanted to give to your body. Because as you can see for list, you can use bullet point. Let's say I have made certain update in my reports, in my proposal. There I'll use list. If I have to write an MOM and I have to send it in an email, so there are two ways. Either I can write it in a words format because it's too long, or either I can choose an email and I'll write three, four pointers for the MOM and I'll send it. So there you can send it both the ways. Then there is a three sentence rule for email body. If your email body is more than three short paragraph, ask yourself, is some of this better as a call? You have to decide whether it is necessary to send to the person or not. Is it relevant to send or not? Do you need to elaborate it to that length? Okay, I'll check the chat box after a certain time, after I finish the anatomy part. Coming to the next is, okay, so this is a classic example. Looking forward to your reply, as I mentioned, or you can use please just answer my email. Both are right, both are correct. What you are implying is please just answer the email. But how you are saying it, looking forward to your reply. So the kind of words you are choosing, the kind of tone you are using, really important and really matters when it comes to a person who is at some seniority, even to your colleague. If you're writing to in such a way that looking forward to your reply. This is a formal way of saying this. Please just answer my email. So I'll be like, okay, like he wanted to do some work. He wanted me to do some work, and that's why he's just mentioning it. Yeah, this is your fifth and sixth part. As I mentioned, the looking forward is your closing part. This is closing plus sign off. What you can avoid by. Thanks. Sent from my iPhone. No other info. Then cheers. Too casual in informal context. This is all about formal emails. That's why I've taken these words in informal emails, because now if you wanted to send it from your personal contact or personal email to your friends, or there you can use whatever you wanted to use. But when it comes to formal email writing, you have to use these only. First is warm regards. Yours sincerely, very formal. It depends where to whom you are sending to. Warm regards you can use when it comes to internal team. Yours sincerely, if you're sending it to somewhere, let's say professors or someone from your, let's say organization, to the same colleague or something, someone who is at higher authority. Warm regards, colleague or your manager as well. Best regards, similar to that. Thank you and regards. It's all a similar to warm regards, best regards, thank you and regards. Signature must include your full name, your designation, course. If you are, let's say, you are going to do MBA, right? So then you can mention which course or which batch you're coming from, contact number, and email. If relevant, you can mention your LinkedIn and your other part. Let's say you're going from, like, you are sending an email to a client or sending an email to your vendor. There you can mention your LinkedIn email, your LinkedIn, company LinkedIn, and your company Instagram account. All your links you can mention there. Only if you wanted to. It's not something which is mandatory sort of thing, but it is something it's optional to you. But in organizations, generally they have a signature where they'll mention their company email, company LinkedIn, and their company Instagram if they have, to X they have, that they'll mention. Email writing framework. So they don't have specific frameworks, but I came across two. If you wanted to structure and you fail to think about like how should I start and what, I am not aware about formal email writing and you made certain mistakes, so you can go through these two frameworks. First is blot, bottom line on top. It was popularized by US military, McKinsey and Google. So blot means stating your main point or ask in the very first sentence before any context or background. Most people bury the point at the end, blot flips that. Generally, it happens with you guys as well. When you write TMAY, when you write any answer for that matter, you forgot to put the main or important point in the starting. At times, you'll realize after writing that, oh, this is important, this I wanted to highlight, and you somehow put it in the middle. And then if I, as an interviewer, if I am a person and I'm reading that whole paragraph, do you really think I'll put a stress on that middle line? No, I won't. I'll be like, I'll go through the opening, closing, and middle. I'll skim it. If I found something important, I'll read. If not, then I'll skim it. That's how it happens. So, bottom line on top is put that main and important line on top, which you are going to write in the bottom. So that's how it comes from. So B for stand for bottom line. State your ask in sentences. L, lead with action. What do you need them to do? One purpose, one email is equals to one ask only. So when you're writing an email, it shouldn't be like you're asking three, four things in one email. One email, one question or one purpose should be there, because that's how you're going to define the subject line. If your email contains two, three things, how you're going to decide which is more important and which you wanted to put in your subject line? T, then context. Background comes after the ask, right? After first you'll ask and then you'll give the background. And that's how you can structure your email. So there are two examples I've taken. First is without plot, second is with plot. So without plot, you will be writing, I have been working on the project for 3 weeks and gathered a lot of data. I was wondering if it might be possible to maybe get a small extension. They're asking for small extension. How I get it, I have to read the whole paragraph for that. Check with bloat now. I am writing to request a 3-day extension. Now I got what they're going to ask, what they wanted, right? For the project deadline. Now I'm giving the context, giving the background. The additional time will allow me to complete the data analysis to the required standard. So I've given the context. First, I've written what I wanted to ask. And that's how your email should be. I'll put more focus on that 3-day extension. I'll get it, that word I've picked. Now I'll check what is the context, why they wanted a 3-day extension. Then I'll write that. Reference. So there is a reference for, you can find it on online as well in your HPR, how to write email with military precision. 2016 I've taken, because since email writing is a traditional way of, that's why we have taken older references there. Coming to next framework, it is ACE framework. So A stands for action, C for context, and E for expectations. So the simplest framework for any request-based email, it answers the three silent questions every reader has the moment they open your email. So anytime you open your email, you have sent a request-based email. Okay, you got it. And what you do is, you check the action. What do you need me to do? You state the specific task clearly. Then you'll define the context. Why are you writing it? Only the minimum background needed. You don't need to elaborate and write two, three paragraphs if you wanted to mention. You just give it a crisp way, like why I needed, what is the background, in two, three sentence max. Then expectation. By when and in what format, what is the deadline or next step. Let's say I need to send a proposal. I have to ask for questionnaire first, prerequisites. I'll send it. Context is already I given. These are the prerequisites to form the proposal solution. Done your email, you have sent it. What is the expectation? By what deadline? You need to mention it, because then you have to start drafting the solution as well, right? There you'll give the deadline as well, or by what format, in a document format, in an Excel sheet. These are for your request based, because in the request you are going to ask certain requirement to them, right? Then A says in one sentence, could you approve the attached proposal? You have asked what is the action they have asked you. It is an entry for the National Innovation Challenge. You are given the context why you are asking for the attached proposal by Friday 16th, so we can submit on time. This is the expectation that you have set. This is a small example. This is the smallest framework. As you can see, there are only 3 letters A's. That also you can use it for your structuring of your email. Coming to the next, the passive aggressive professional. So as you can see, you have to spot the wrong part, like where this whole sentence, you got this sentence, you got this email. You have to tell me what is wrong in this. Anyone? Okay. None of you have mentioned. Okay, per my last email in the deadline part. Okay, disaster. So as the, if you see the headline, what I mentioned, The passive aggressive professional. Passive aggressive, you're showing the aggression here. If you see per not the three times it's not required. Yeah, it sound arrogant and it mentioned previous reference multiple times. True. So which is we tone is aggressive one. So your tone in an email should be humble, as I mentioned, I guess multiple times. Here we have used an aggression when we mentioned which I sent three times per my last email. We don't need to mention that. And I guess there is a hint as well. The phrase per my last email, actually, which I sent three times, has become internet famous as called it. What you wanted to say? Did you even read this? Or are you going through the mail chain that I'm keep on sending you? So you should refrain from using such sentences when it comes to email writing, specifically formal email writings, because it will affect your professional relationship as well as from next time onwards. Now it's three times, it can go up to four and five times as well. So refrain from using aggressive tone, refrain from using negative tones as well. So there is an activity for you all. You have to tell whether it is formal, casual, or disaster. Here are five sentences. First is so you can write in the chat box. I'll see and I'll mention. First is hey Priya. So basically, I need the report by tomorrow. Okay, thanks. Think from a formal perspective as a professional from an organization. Ankit mentioned that's formal. Okay, casual first. You have to just mention the first part first. We'll go one by one. Okay, some of you have mentioned disaster, some of you have mentioned casual. Okay, let me tell you, people who have mentioned casual, you all are wrong. It is not casual. Do you think people will let TMRW in a professional tone, K and thanks like this? Okay, we'll see. It is a disaster. Because even in professional email writing, even if you're writing something very casually, in a very casual way to a colleague you can mention like that. But short forms you cannot mention because this is not a jargon in your corporate. What are the jargons in your corporate? MOM for minutes of meeting, SLAs, RFPs, these are formal jargons. You cannot write TMRW or if you know, types of jargons or any abbreviations for these words in formal writing. Second, dear Miss Priya, I hope this message finds you well. I am writing to request. Okay, you have mentioned formal. Let's see if it's formal or not. Yeah, it's formal. You all are correct. Third is hi Priya, just checking in. Did you get a chance to look at the report? Casual. Okay. Let's see. It is casual and it is acceptable internally. When we say internally, it is for us, let's say a relationship where you have a very good bond with your colleague or very good bond with your manager. There you can mention it like that. Because again, if you see, did you get a chance to look at the report? If you're writing it to someone externally or you cannot use this tone, though it is casual. That's why there is mention acceptable internally. Next is Priya. Where is the report? It is late. Okay, some has mentioned disaster, some has mentioned casual. Let's see. It is a disaster and possible HR worthy. Generally, HR send this email. That too in capital letters. If you know about writing communication skills, you do shouldn't use capital letters because capital letters show that you are shouting. So that's why in formal writing, we refrain from using every sentence or any word in capital letters. Next is good morning, Miss Priya. Following up on our discussion yesterday regarding the quarter one report. Okay, everybody has mentioned formal. Let's see. Yeah, it's formal. All are correct. Now you understood how tone has changed and you understood like why it is disaster, why it is formal. So you cannot use TMRW in your formal writing. You shouldn't avoid getting, giving casual to external people, casual writing to external people, or writing capital letters, or using, so in email, in Outlook, or in any Google email, there is a symbol of high importance as well. Instead of mentioning high importance, you can use the symbol. It is an exclamatory mark in red color. So there are a lot of things regarding to business writing that we are going to discuss, and there is a session for that as well. This is specifically for email writing, formal email writing. Now moving ahead, this is again a practice for you all. So here is an email that has been written. Hi, with the subject. Hey sir, so I was thinking about the project and I wanted to ask you something. Can you give me an extension? Because I have a lot going on and I wasn't able to finish. Please let me know ASAP. THX Ria. So you have to tell me what are the corrections can be made here. Since you have gone through the anatomy of formal email, what are the corrections we can change, make? Okay, subject, full form. Any other change? Salutation, right? Double question marks. Correct. Yes, you all are correct. Let's see what are the corrections we can make here. Okay, so these are the connections that we can make in this email. First is no proper subject line is there. Salutation is informal. Hey sir, which shouldn't be there. Then no context. Which project? Which deadline? Then the reason is vague. A lot going on. Did you have an exact reason? Do you have a medical emergency? I don't know what is going on with you, right? Then tone is very casual, bordering or demanding. When you are sending a mail to a senior person, to a person, let's say your professor or anyone for that matter, your tone should be professional, right? You shouldn't demand, it's a request. The more humble you are with the person, the more humble, what you give, you'll get. These sort of things happens in email writing. Then no formal sign off or full name. She has just mentioned the Ria. Who Ria? I don't know which Ria. There will be two, three people by the same name. They don't have any email is there, any contact number is there. I don't know. There is no salutations, there is no proper sign off. Closing is not there, right? These sort of correction were given. So now you can see the difference, right? What how a formal email writing should work. So this is the correct form of this email. Subject extension request, digital marketing project. You will define which project and then your name, Riya Suresh. Dear Mr. The person name or surname. Again, you can mention both as well. You can mention surname as well. One thing you should keep in mind if you are mentioning surname, make sure you know that person. If you don't know that person properly, do refrain from using only surname. Write the full name if you wanted to mention or the first name. Then I hope you are well. A warm welcome to the email or an opening to the email. I am writing to request a 3-day extension for the digital marketing project originally due on 10th May 2025. I have given the whole context, right? I have given why I'm asking for this email, which project, deadline, everything I've given in first line. So now if I'm a reader, I'll understood what they're asking. Then you are setting the context, the reason. I encountered an unexpected medical situation this week that has significantly impacted my ability to complete the project to the standard I intend. I have completed approximately 70% of the work. So when you mention 70% of the work has already been completed, so what impression that you're getting? Oh, they have already completed. Because of this issue, it may get delayed, right? That's why they're asking the extension. So when you write in such a way, think how appealing it is to the manager or to the person, that how likely the chances have increased for me to give that extension, right? So that's how you're giving the impression, your email, because you cannot go physically to that person and ask. Let's say your team is in US, or let's say your team is in some other place. How will you? You cannot go there, right? So this is a form of communication that you are using. Or via Teams. In Teams also you cannot ask such things, right? You can video call for such matters. No, you'll write an email. So your email is an impression of you, or giving an impression to the person, and it increase the likelihood or the chances of you to getting your work done. Then it's the look at the closing. I sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this may cause and happy to discuss this further at your convenience. Thank you for your understanding. Warm regards. And here she mentioned MBA semester second with a email as well. So that's how you should write your email. Whether you are a MBA student, whether you are in an organization, instead of MBA semester one, you can mention your designation and your email should be there and your organization. Coming to next, these are the basics that you should understand when it comes to email writing, the basic part, whether you're writing it email to anyone. So for job application, you use salutation, dear Mr. and Miss with surname. Sign off again, I'm mentioning surname, I've mentioned there. If you know that person, if you don't know properly, some people may like, some people may not like. It depends on the culture. Sign off yours sincerely when you're writing a job application. When it comes to internal team email, hi with a person number, sorry, person name. Sign off, best regards and thanks. Professor and mentor, you'll use a salutation, dear professor, with their name. Dear doctor, because since they use doctor as well, they have done PhD. Then sign off, warm regards. If you're sending it to someone who is external, like from the external team or someone from the vendor, from your client to your client, then you'll use a salutation, dear Mr. Sign off, best regards, yours sincerely. Both you can use. Unknown recipient whom you don't know, or let's say the person you're sending it to an HR. So you mention dear hiring manager or dear team, HR team, and yours faithfully as a sign off. These are the basic common one. You can change them according to you, because there is a lot of words now have come up in the vocab which you can use. Next is the golden rules of email writing. So there are 10 golden rules for professional email writing. First is subject first. Write the subject line after drafting the body. You'll know exactly what it is about. Why they mention right after the body? Because as I mentioned, subject line should be strong enough. Subject line is the gist of your whole email. Second is one email, one purpose. Don't ask five things in one email. Your one email, because if you write multiple things, you will puzzle yourself up that what should come in the subject line. Third is read before you send every single time. Again, I'll tell you one experience of mine. I use, because at times what happened, no, you'll read and you feel like, oh, there is no mistake, and you'll send it. But at times what happened, you'll overlook certain things because you are the one who have written it and you are the one who is reviewing it. Again, then you'll make mistakes. So you can ask somebody else as well to go through the email, whether it is correct or not. If you're sending it to someone, let's say high authority or a person of very seniority level, senior level. So there you make such mistakes and you'll feel like, okay, I have read it multiple times, I have checked it, reviewed it. But again, you are the one who have written it and you are the one who is reviewing. So there are high chances that you will overlook such mistakes. And it happens with me, that's why I'm mentioning. But you should, obviously, you'll learn from your mistakes. So don't make any mistake twice. Then never send an angry email. Draft it, sleep on it, delete it, write a new one. So whether you're feeling you had like, let's say you face certain situation, you're very angry with your manager if they are not approving your leave for any medical emergency or anything, or let's say you're asking something from you've seen a lot of emails on, for MBA colleges as well. Students are writing emails. If they're angry, you can see the tone difference, right? You are an MBA student. Don't you know how formal email writing should work. So always write. If you are feeling angry, if you are feeling any sort of emotions which are negative, don't send it to anyone. Take your time. Instead of reacting, respond to that email, because email is something which is going to stay with that person. This is and proof of evidence you're sending to someone, right? They can use it anyway. So always when you are sending an email, rewrite it, take your time and review it before sending. Then reply within 24 hours, even if just to acknowledge receipt. So when we say revert back, so let's say imagine you yourself at a position where, just take a very small example. You're writing an email to an HR for a job application. Will you be able to have that patience, to wait for 5, 6 days and still you get no revert? This happens a lot, and people feel like, oh, they're not replying and they'll lose their enthusiasm that then and there itself. But nowadays, if you see, there is a no reply or an automatic reply thing is there. So you can directly get that email. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, we have the reply within 24 hours. So even if it's just to acknowledge that, yeah, I have read it, just send it. And if you're not able to revert back with a proper, let's say somebody gave you a proposal and you have to revert with a solution, you can ask them for time. You can ask that I need some 2 to 3 days and then I can send you the solution. So, but it is important to reply within 24 hours or within, like, whenever it's possible for you, but within the timeline of 24 hours, because the other person will have this impression that, oh, he has read it, this person has gone through it, which is very important, because then you show that you are professional enough to open your emails. Then CC with purpose. Don't CC your entire team unless they all need to act on it. Again, here, if there is a person, let's say in your organization or in MBA as well, if you're writing to, change your, let's say you wanted to submit certain document to your admin, to the admin of the organization, or in organization as well, in your college as well. You wanted to send it to it. Will you going to put your director in CC? No, he has nothing to do with that. Right. So always you have to keep those people in CC who are required, who are relevant to that email. Proof your and always. Oh, sorry. Obviously, you cannot do reply all. If there is an email chain and there are people who are in that email CC, in that BCC, you should always check whether this person is relevant to what email I am going to send. Right. Next is proof your attachment. Please find attached means that attachment must actually be attached. So this is actually considered as a biggest professional etiquette in email writing, because at times what happen, no, when you're sending it to someone who is external person, who is a client, who is a vendor, you are sending without an attachment and they'll open it and then they have to revert with that email that this we don't have any attachment, or we're not able to open it. You haven't sent any attachment. Think about that, how to say, the impression that the client is getting. Do you think he'll take you seriously next time, or he'll not delay the next time? He'll always do that. Like, he'll also feel that, okay, they are like that only. They're not professional enough. Because that is the first impression they'll get. Next is avoid walls of text. Use paragraphs, line breaks, and bullet points. Again, when you write lots of text, right? Opening attached with your body, with your closing. So you haven't defined, right? What is your opening? What is the warm welcome that you're giving to an email? Then your body, what is the context? So it is not in a structured way. So you also will always use a paragraph or a line break if you're doing a list, or if you're sending, or a bullet points whenever you're writing something. It changes from situation to situation, but you should always use it. That's why you're going to structure your email. Then tone travels badly in text. When in doubt, read your email aloud before sending. Again, as I mentioned, if you are angry, if you are feeling any certain of emotions, you shouldn't send an email. You should always go through it, whether I am formally, even if I shouldn't sound rude, I shouldn't sound very aggressive, I shouldn't sound very negative when I'm sending an email. You should always be humble, because you are sending that email for other person to do your work. And do you think people do work that easily? No. The more humble you are, the more, what do you say, the positive things that you'll give, the more you'll get it, right? The more easily it's for them to revert to the email. And with a clear ask, tell the reader exactly what action you need from them. I hope it's clear though. Next is, so AI is there again. There are a lot of people who will feel like we can use AI to write better emails. How are you going to use AI for writing better emails if you don't know what to write, right? So the right way to use AI for emails is you have to give a correct prompt, what sort of tone you want in that email. It's not like that I want to write an email for leave application. It will give you a leave application email, but is it correct for you? Is it relevant for you? What sort of context you wanted to send? What sort of, like, if you're taking leave, any work which is getting hampered, you did mention that. So the correct prompt is very necessary when you're writing an email using AI. AI is necessary, that is fine. You can polish your email, you can write in a humble tone in your email. So all you have to mention it in the prompt. As you can see, there is a wrong use and there is a right use. Wrong use, write me a professional email asking for an internship. Even with this prompt, the AI will give you an email, right? But is it really correct? It is what you wanted to convey. So you should always keep everything in your prompt, what you wanted to convey to that manager or convey to the person. You get a generic email, you send it as it is. The recruiter has seen the exact email 40 times this week. So do you think will that person will bother to, go through yours? Because if he has already gone through with that email itself, the first line itself, you'll understand. Then what is the right use? I have drafted this email asking for an internship extension. Can you improve the tone, tighten the language, make the opening stronger? So what it will happen is you will write, AI refines, your voice stays, and quality goes up. Because you've already mentioned what sort of a tone you want, what sort of a language you are going to use, what sort of vocab you are going to use, because vocab also matters at times. If you've gone through any essays written by AI, no, you'll easily caught it like whether it is written by AI or not. People nowadays they caught it very easily because they themselves are using AI. So if you think you're smarter enough and you have used an AI and then you're sending an email or writing anything for that matter, and you think that the other person will not caught it, they'll easily got you because they themselves are using AI. So you should always, create a prompt in such a way that they'll feel okay. That person has a good vocab, he's good enough with the writing skills. And there are three ways AI actually helps you when you are writing an email is tone checker, obviously. The one thing that is mentioned here is pace your draft and ask, does this sound too passive, too aggressive, or casual? Instead of writing this, you can also use write my email in such tone. Write my email should be polished, should be humble, should have a professional tone. So either you can mention whether it is sounding like this, or either you can mention I want my email to sound like this. Next is length trimmer. Obviously, when you are writing an email, it should be concise, it should be clear, and it's in very less number of sentences should be there. So cut this email to 5 sentences. Even if you have to write, you have written a elaborative email. You can go to AI, you can ask that I want this email. Keep that essence same, what I wanted to imply, what I wanted to convey, but in 5 sentences. Last is subject line generator. Because subject line is very important, it is very should be very strong enough to let that person or force that person to open your email. So you can always, go through multiple options for subjects because AI give a very good subjects when it, a very bold line in very concise way, and it will give you multiple options. So you can select which is better as per your context. Again, I've written one line here because it is very important when we are using and going through AI and all. AI tools can make you faster, obviously, more confident email writer because it can good give you a good vocab. It will give you a polished version of you what you have written, but only if you use them as a co-pilot, not a ghostwriter. You cannot rely on AI completely because at times what have happened, if your manager has sent something to you, like asked you something on Teams or let's say on WhatsApp, you cannot directly go to AI and ask like how I can reply to this. There you have to reply, and he can easily got you whether this person is writing very good emails with very good vocab, but he's not revert with the same sort of essence on WhatsApps and all. It is very easy to caught you up there. So use AI to polish as a co-pilot, but not as a completely writer. The goal is to think with AI, not think through AI, right? So thank you for listening. One last line. An email is a handshake. Make it firm, warm, and memorable. Thank you. Now you can ask me questions. And they have sent you an attendance link as well. You can just, okay, I can see some question. Okay, why should we mention the email address at the end again? The email would have been sent by the same person. So, why we send the email address is we are writing a signature, right? Let's say you're sending it to some person who is, I myself, I'll give you my example. I myself put my email there because at times I'll just open email instead of copying from that CC or to that two part. I directly go to the person's signature and I easily found it. That's why people generally address it there. And I wanted to show, okay, this is my email. And if that person is forwarded that email to somebody else, then also it's helpful for them to go through that area, because I if I had to go through, or if I wanted to find any person contact number, specifically any client number, I'll directly go to the signature instead of going, checking the whole body or anywhere else. Same for email also, I'll do the same. That's why people put it there. And when it comes to people at senior level, no, they also do the same. They'll copy paste from the signature and they'll check signature very carefully. Is greeting appropriate for professor? Yeah, professor or manager. I don't know for which slide you have asked this, but yeah, for professor you can mention doctor as well. Refrain if it feels so. Again, it's again different from perspective to perspective, from people perspective actually. So if you're a person who like to mention doctor in front of your name, you can mention to that. But if they don't like it, then you can mention professor and their name. That is also fine. For manager also, if I have a very good bond with my manager, or my manager is mentioning hi Abhilasha, then I can also revert with that. But if my manager is someone who mentioned dear Abhilasha or Abhilasha and that, so I'll revert with the same, same thing. Hi dear, same way works for your mention, because we are sending an email to a other person. It's not how we feel. It's more like how they are feeling and how they think, what impression they'll get. Okay, how to balance being very specific versus sounding rude. Again, when you sound rude, there are certain words that you're going to use. Always use neutral words. It shouldn't be extreme, negative, extreme positive. Because when we say we sounding rude, we might using certain words. We are might using certain question mark at certain position where it will depict that okay, this person is rude. So go through your whole email, whether you have written something like that or not. And the best practice is read it aloud. Because the more you read, it sounds will come to your ears and you'll feel okay, this sentence is little bit off. That way you can balance. That is the best way actually. Or you can ask, obviously, AI is there. Always ask, go to the AI, polish this. I want the tone to be humble, make it professional or formal. That also you can do. Any other question if you have? Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. I hope you learned something from this session. As I mentioned, I'll make sure that you learned something. So I hope you've learned. Thank you. Okay, which AI tool is best for professional writing? So earlier, ChatGPT was good when it comes to writing communication, but now Claude you can use, and there are tools like for platform to platform. It's there. You can use Copilot, but I generally feel Claude and ChatGPTs are best when it comes to writing, because there you can give a very good prompt, and within I think one search itself, it will generate a good content. For CV, I didn't understand.